welcome to the Maritime Vision podcast. I'm your host, Paul Wioli. In each episode, we bring you exclusive interviews with maritime professionals, industry experts, and students. Our guests come from different backgrounds, including shipping, yachting, offshore, supply chain, and more. Our goal is to give you all the knowledge you need to succeed in the maritime industry. Welcome everyone, welcome back to a new podcast episode. Today we are joined by Ruud. Ruud, it's a pleasure to have you. Can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Ruud Selle. I'm 42 years old. I have two lovely daughters and a wife. I live close to Rotterdam in Maasluis. I'm fleet manager at Anthony Wieder, which is one of the best jobs ever, I would say. So I really enjoy it. And hopefully I can tell a little bit more about it in this podcast.
For sure. So thank you again for this presentation. Maybe, of course, can you give us a little overview of, first of all, maybe why did you decide to join the maritime industry?
It's a little bit of a detour I took. So when I was young, I was always interested in chemistry and mathematics and those kind of things. So the fun part is my family are all lawyers, and I'm the only one that's more beta orientated. So that's always funny at home. But for me, I started just wondering, how do you build big plants? So I started process engineering actually. So I was a chemical engineer, a process engineer actually at a big engineering firm. And from there on, I just kept on learning. So in the end, I achieved to manage my university degree in chemical engineering with process engineering as specialism. And when you work at a big engineering firm, it was also a very nice job to do. But there you always do projects, and as a process engineer, you're doing really big projects, and you're just one person in a very big project. And of course, you can imagine that if you do big projects, there's always a very clear role description about what you need to do. And also your career path is very clear. When I was doing that, I enjoyed working there. Anthony Vida came across my path. So Anthony Vida was looking for a process engineer. And I thought, oh, that's funny. They have no clue what a process engineer is. Let's talk. So I met here some people in our office. For example, our COO, Klaas Kersenmakers, is also still working here. And he had a certain passion, which was really, and making me enthusiastic to join the shipping industry actually as a process engineer. So I started here working at Anthony Vida as a process engineer together with two colleagues who are also still working here, Michiel and Adrie. They were very nice to me, and they told me everything about ships that I didn't know. And I could tell them things about gas carriers that they didn't know, about gas plants, how it worked, how we maybe can make it better. And from that role on, by learning more about ships, about building ships, designing ships, I thought, how do we make money with this? How does this work? It's so bloody complex. A ship is so expensive. And there are so many people working on it. And you have to sail all around the world. And there are agents involved. And how do you get your stuff here in time? It's so complex, actually. I also became very enthusiastic about being a part of Anthony Vida and about being a part of the maritime industry. And with all these questions in my head, I had the opportunity to join the reliability maintenance department. So I never sailed, but I had to work with a nice team of superintendents. We call them today vessel managers because vetting is also incorporated in job description. We'll get to that later. But with these technical superintendents who were formerly chief engineers, who really had the shipping experience, and with my view, at least we complemented each other there. So I didn't have to explain to them how an engine works, so they already know. But I could tell them how a gas plant works. And they can tell me how an engine works. So that was a very nice dynamic actually, where I learned a lot, but also could bring a lot. And from that role on, in the end, I grew up to fleet manager. So a little bit side path. I never sailed. Sometimes I'm on the ship, so I never pretend to be sailing. Usually, when I'm a long time on the ship, there's something awfully wrong there. So when people see me on board in Anthony Vida, usually it's because we have to figure out what to do. But every time I come on a ship, I always get this wow feeling. Oh, it is so bloody cool what we do every day. Loading, discharging, gas carriers, liquefied gases. It's a harsh environment. It's big assets, big ships, a very nice people that work for us every day again on the ships and here in the office, and we do very cool stuff. So I still get very enthusiastic every day about that.
Okay, wow, that's very interesting. So maybe we can clarify the fact that Anthony Vida is like a chemical tankers?
Yeah, no, Anthony Vida is like a gas carrier company. Chemical tankers have a lot of different tanks. So we have like 3 to 6 tanks on each ship. Some ships have 2, and we carry around liquefied gases. So the coldest gas we carry around is LNG, minus 161 degrees. We also have a lot of ships in ethylene, minus 104 degrees Celsius. And we can also carry around LPGs, minus 40 and warmer. We also have an ammonia carrier, so on a long-term relationship with the client. And basically, these cargoes, of course, we need to keep cool. So we have a very big plant on board that keeps the gas cool. And of course, we need to get the gas in and out in a safe way. And on average, we have like 3 port calls a week with a ship, maybe 2. 2 is a little bit more, 2 to 3 on average. And we have in total, in our technical management, we have at the moment 27 gas carriers.
Okay, right. So interesting. In total, it's like more than 60 vessels, I think.
No, in total, we have on commercial management, I think we have 33. I didn't prepare that statistic, but at least as a technical department, we are now responsible for 27 gas carriers.
Okay, yeah. Okay, interesting. We come back to the particularity of this kind of ship. Can you give us a little overview of what is the role of a fleet manager?
The role of the fleet manager is basically, you can cut it down into 3 pieces. So the first piece is, of course, that we have a strict vetting regime on our ships, and vetting is your license to operate. So oil majors, they pay money for the ship, but they also want to make sure the ship is good. So they do inspections on the ship. They're called site inspections or CDI inspections, depending on what kind of oil major the ship is being chartered to. And based on these inspections, of course, the inspection should be good. And then if they like the ship, then chartering can fix the voyage for us. So vetting is really important for us. So that's a license to operate. So I prioritize vetting basically as number 1. Number 2 is, of course, utilization. So besides the fact that you comply to the rules, you also want to make sure that your ships can do what they're designed for to do. So the utilization, so make sure that your ship is able to carry around LNG or able to carry around ethylene, according to all safety rules, etc. And we want to be compliant there. So the utilization is then, and then of course the third one, and we are just a commercial company like anyone. There's money involved. So in the end, there I don't have a limited amount of budget to use for the other 2. But this is also a little bit how I prioritize my work. So if vetting is okay, fine, that's a license to operate. Can the ship do what she's designed for? Not? Okay, let's fix it together. Let's make sure that we know what to do. And let's make sure all the other people and all the other departments here internally know that, hey, for the moment we cannot do this, but we can do the other things. And in the end, I try to be very predictable in the money that we need to spend on number 1 and 2.
Okay, quite clear. What is the difference between a superintendent and a fleet manager?
The difference is the let's say the scope and the detail. The superintendent, and we call them vessel manager internally because we also are responsible for the vetting aspect in our job, has control of 2 to 3 ships here internally. So, but for all ins and outs. So that's on the vessel manager really also make sure that all the things that the ship needs, that the ship gets it, that it's budgeted for. That the ship is according our contractual obligations, and that we perform these vetting inspections well. There are some layers in the organization to further look ahead. So where the vessel manager really works on the day-to-day business and prepares for the big maintenance jobs in dry dockings, we have asset managers who try to look from now till 5 quarters ahead and make a good plan for that. And you could say I help that system, I grease that system, I try to connect the loose ends, and I try to look from now till 5 years ahead, maybe even 7.5 years ahead, to really understand where we're going to with the ship and continuously reiterate that with our commercial needs.
Okay, clear. So basically the technical management, you are more like a managing position. I mean, it's not your job to taking care purely about technical, because you have the team of superintendents taking care of this. But you are on many vessels as a fleet manager, you can coordinate other fleet on many.
My scope is the entire fleet of Anthony Wieder.
Entire fleet. So we have one fleet manager.
One fleet manager. And we have cut up the fleet into 3 pieces, 3 clusters. And each cluster has an asset manager. So this asset manager overlooks the spirit from now till 5 quarters ahead. And in a cluster, there's marine assurance, that they help us with vetting. Crewing managers, they help us with the right crew on the ship and make sure that if there are signals that people are not happy, that we pick it up and do something there. No, we have vessel managers responsible for the technology on board and also for the performance of the ship. We have our CQ department, also really important. So of course safety. I didn't even mention it, but because it's in our blood. It's our bare basic. Of course, if it's unsafe, we just don't do it. So everybody home safe. So our SHEC department really is involved in making sure that we apply the right safety standards, and advises us in how we can do our jobs more safer. But also on quality control, are our procedures still up to date? Should we update something? Maybe we should change something in our way that we manage because we have so many incidents on this. So let's learn from this. We have a reliability maintenance team also on our third floor, and they're really focusing. So that's a dedicated team that's not part of the operational teams that are really focusing on reliability issues. So if, for example, a lot of four-stroke engines fail at 30,000 running hours, maybe we're doing something wrong. Maybe we're missing some maintenance, and they will dive into the statistics, try to learn it, and adapt our maintenance system so we do the right maintenance on time.
Interesting. What about logistics? You have
We have a purchasing department, and that's a tactical part of the purchasing department. Is really looking for long-term relationship with our suppliers. That's really important for us. That's shipyards, logistics supplier we have, but also with big main engine manufacturers and auxiliary engine manufacturers. And these contracts should give us a partnership. So partnership in doing the job safe on board, but also partnerships in predictability in reliability. So make sure you get the right parts and right quality of parts. And predictability in the fact that somebody picks up the phone if we are in an urgent need somewhere. So it should help us in two ways. And so basically we can control all the aspects of the entire fleet here in-house at Anthony Vierer, and that's super cool.
Yeah.
So the lines are really short. So that's the good news. The bad news is also the lines are really short. Because if something goes wrong, of course, the lines are really short. So sometimes I'm also in a meeting that I do not have the answer yet or do not have the full picture yet. On the other hand, we're also an organization where that's allowed. So it's not that I have to give an answer in 2 seconds. And sometimes I just don't know. And they say, well, I don't know yet. I think these are our options. But let me get back on it. And so that also makes it really nice to work here.
So you have a dedicated team.
We have a dedicated crewing department. So they're also part in our clusters. And it's really... So what I learned actually in my job is it is not about the technology. It is not about knowing all that you can know about a two-stroke engine or a four-stroke engine. It's about the people. So there are always people who have a solution for a certain problem. So we have over 1,000 seafarers. It's, by the way, the day of the seafarer that we record this. That's also really nice, actually. Yeah. But it's really about the right people at the right place and empower the people at the right place. So it took me very long actually to get to this point. So in the beginning in my role, I always thought I need to know everything about stern tubes, or I need to know everything about rudders. So I knew a lot about chemistry and about gas blends, but I had no clue about the propulsion train of a ship or the bridge equipment. Bridge equipment is still as people have to explain to me, and that's not bad actually, because there's always somebody who knows in our company. Yeah. So it's really about working together, making sure that we have a culture that people dare to speak up. Hey, I have a better idea. That's so important that people feel free to come with another idea, another perspective, maybe another way forward that can help us. And so crewing is also really important to us. So to have the right people and the right chemistry between people actually on board of the ship, that makes a day and night difference. So you can have a perfect ship. So we have very cool ships, Paul. We have the super duper ships, dual fuel engines, very nice accommodation. But if you put people on it who have no clue how a gas carrier works, are not motivated at all, and if they don't want to work together, it will become one big disaster. But if you have a very bad ship actually, with a lot of technical challenges, a ship that's not so friendly towards us and that requires us to work really hard to keep her going, but if you have a good crew on it, you will not notice it. It will work. Yes, we will need to support them from the office, which is absolutely fine. But it's really about the people in this industry. That's what I've learned.
Let's talk more about the fleet of anti-invader, the characteristic of each vessel, because it's very interesting. So gas carrier, can you explain if you manage this kind of ships, what are the difference with, I don't know, tanker? Sorry.
So the first thing that does not help us is the fact that a gas carrier is a very expensive ship. So you do not build big series. So there's no uniformity between ships. So I think on 27 ships, we have 19 different types of gas carriers. So I think the biggest series of sister ships that we have is like 4 pieces, and even one of them is already a little bit different than the other 3. So standardization is very hard to achieve actually as a gas carrier company. Still, a lot of equipment can be similar on ships. So for example, we have a high amount of MAK 4-stroke engines as main engine. And usually a gas carrier is also a ship that requires a lot of energy. So we need a lot of power actually. If you run a gas plant on an average gas carrier and you want to cool down your cargo, you need about 1,000 kilowatt installed power to run only the gas plant. So if you switch on the radar, of course, it's even more. And based on those given things, you need about a minimum of 2 to 3 auxiliary engines. We have a main engine with a shaft generator on most of our ships. Because of the power requirements that we need, but also you want to do maintenance in time. So there's also maintenance strategy behind it. So if one auxiliary engine is down for maintenance, you still have 2 other ones to operate. And actually, and of course, if you can, with a 4-stroke engine and shaft generator, is quite efficient way of using fuel. And also, if you look at the gas plant, we have 2 cargo plant trains minimum. That's required by International Gas Carrier Code. Basically, this is also a very robust compressors. So they have to work all the time, 24/7. It's really robust designed equipment. Heavy equipment also makes a lot of noise. So noise can also be an issue on the gas carrier. So there are also even some ships that we have taken precautions to make sure that we reduce the noise for the environment. And so those are the basic principles of a gas carrier. Most of the ships also have a bow thruster for maneuverabilities in ports. Most of the ships also have a controlled pitch propeller, but that has to do with shaft generator, of course. And
for shipowners, having a bow thruster is a big nice things, because I talked with maritime pilot and they told me that some, especially tankers without any direct shaft engine propeller and without any bow thruster, you need to sometimes to hire a maritime pilot, and it has a big cost. So long-term perspective, maybe having bow thruster, it's a good
investment.
Good investment.
Yeah, could be indeed. So we and our ships are on average. We are a small scale gas. So what I try to explain to people in shipping industry is also that building big ships is easy. So big ships are insanely expensive, we all know, but also you still have the same amount of equipment to move the ship from A to B, but you have a lot more space to put it on. On our ships are relatively small, so you have to put all this equipment somewhere on the ship. So for example, we have a Coral Star and Stigo, and those are really special ships. So they're ethylene gas carriers, but they're fueled by LNG. So they have a possibility to fuel the ships on LNG. That was never done before in the world.
Transport LNG, and they can be...
No, so they cannot transport LNG, but they have LNG fuel tanks on the deck. So, and these ships are like 100 meter long. So if you look at the amount of technology we have there per square meter, there's no ship in our fleet who has more technology per square meter. And if you look how these ships are operated by our crews, how we perform actually in our vetting statistics, but and on the incidents and defects that we have, they are managed really well by the people that we have on board of the ship. For example, I saw the Coral Star in dry dock I think 2 months ago. The ship looks great. Really beautiful ship to look at. Well maintained by the crew. It was 10 years old. And so 10 years ago, Anthony Wieder already had the pioneering spirit actually to make sure that these ethylene ships can sail on LNG, which is a much environmental friendlier fuel than, of course, the conventional fuels. And that also gives me energy actually to work for this company. But also it says something about the complexity of the ship and basically the teamwork that we have to do in the office and on board of the ship.
I imagine, but why it's so complex? Because the tanks are like specific. You need to make very not thick, but
very well insulated actually. Yeah. So if you look at the gas carrier, it starts of course with the tank that you put the cargo in. So most of our tanks are are made from 5% nickel steel that you need for ethylene at -104. If you look at the LNG tanks, they're 9% nickel steel. Very hard to bend that steel. Very, very difficult to handle for shipyards and tank builders. Or you can do stainless steel. And that's just the cargo tank. And then basically you need to insulate it pretty well. So the more insulation you apply on a gas carrier, of course, the easier it is to keep your cargo cool. Okay. On the other hand, if you have a lot of insulation around your cargo tank, that also works against you. So if you need to cool down the tanks, so if you're loading at -100 and you need to discharge at -104, this 4 degrees cooling down requires a lot of energy, but also it requires to cool down the cargo, keep the heat out with the insulation, but in order to do that, you need to make sure you cool down the insulation as well. So there's a delaying effect there. If you have an LNG fueled ship like the Coral Star and Stigo, there we have vacuum insulated fuel tanks. So that's a very well insulated tank, but there are like 2 times 100 cubic meters on board of these ships. So we can sail, I think, for 1.5, 2 weeks on LNG, and then we have to bunker again. But the whole idea of making these ships ready making the ships fully ready for LNG fueled, while they cannot transport LNG as a cargo, that was a complete new concept. That was really one of the coolest things I've done here in this company.
Oh wow, yeah, interesting. So I imagine, do you think it's the most complicated type of ship to manage?
That I find very hard to answer because my only reference is Anthony Wieder there in shipping companies. And the funny fact in shipping is that sometimes the easiest things can go wrong and end up in a complete fuck up, to say it like that. And so the devil is in the details always. And sometimes very difficult things we handle like it's very easy. So when I talk to the team, and I always refer to Champions League football. So that's a flaw of me. Sometimes I like football, but we have to play Champions League football every day again. So we need people in good shape and make sure that people are happy to work here and that the mindset is okay, because that's the only way to play this Champions League football. I can imagine for other ship owners, they have different challenges. It also depends on the customer. It also depends on the trading area that you're in. So I don't know if a gas carrier is the most difficult ship.
Right. So you transport, actually, because I didn't ask you this question. Yeah. It's gas. Huh?
It's only gas.
Only gas. Okay.
Only gas. Liquefied gas.
Liquefied gas. Okay. I would say on the market, is it like quite popular, this type of ship? So it's booming. Is it decreasing? You don't know.
So the market. If you want to start your gas carrier company tomorrow, so let's say you and I will start a gas carrier company tomorrow. It's very hard actually. So first of all, you need a shitload of money to buy a ship because it's a very expensive ship. And the second thing is, of course, you need the trust of oil majors. So you have a vetting system in place. So you need invite inspectors. You need oil majors to inspect your ship. You need to do office audits here. Big oil majors don't only look at our ships, how good they are, but also how good we manage them from the office here. So it's a hard market to enter if you want to start a gas carrier company. And the market is more or less fixed, because you can imagine that building big refineries is also not done in the blink of an eye. So it's quite a set market. On the other hand, there's some competition already in this market. So it's also not so easy just to be the best in this market or to compete with others.
In terms of geographic aspects in the world, is it more in the North Sea, Northern Europe or Western Europe that you see most of actors in this market, or in Asia as well?
No, everywhere actually. So you see there are many competitors of us sailing around the world. If you look at where we operate, so we operate mainly in Europe and ARA region. We have a fleet in the Caribbean area, and we have a fleet in Asia.
Okay, so it's quite a global business anyway. So, okay, quite interesting. About engines, I want to
About engines, okay.
like this topic about. Okay, you mentioned 4-stroke engines, but you still have 2-stroke engines on board.
Yeah, we have. Actually, our latest new building ship, Coral Evolution, it's a medium pressure 2-stroke engine, dual fuel. So that's really interesting to see how that engine will perform. So in the past, we would have bought a 4-stroke engine dual fuel for such a ship, but now we have a medium pressure 2-stroke technology engine. So that's really nice to learn and compare and to see what it brings us.
Yeah. What is the difference in terms of behaviors and the maintenance, everything between 2 and 4-stroke?
That depends a bit on how you execute it with your crews. So a 2-stroke engine is a little bit easier to maintain, also with the crews on board of the ship. A 4-stroke engine, usually you take a really moment for a stop and then you do the complete engine overhaul. So a 2-stroke you can do cylinder by cylinder. But it depends also a little bit on the trade that you're in. So do you really have the time to do it like that? So if you look at most trading patterns of our ships, they are so tight scheduled. You don't really have the time to do that. And for a gas carrier, doing maintenance on the main engine alongside terminals is not possible. So everybody wants to make sure that you can move away a ship at any time if something goes wrong. So it's also a safety there to make sure your main engine is ready to start sailing again.
Yeah. And what about the new ships coming in the fleet? Are you managing the new building? I mean, ordering the vessels, choosing the type of vessels?
So besides technical operations department and all the other ship management departments, we also have business development and a new building department. So that's how I started my career in Anthony Wieder, at the new building department. So business development tries to look for opportunities in the market, talks to potential customers, see how we can develop things together. And then there's an idea. And then, of course, we need to give prices, and then it needs to be a commercial proposal. But at a certain moment, our charters decide, let's have this logistic solution from Anthony Wieder. And then we're going to build a ship. Sometimes a little bit. So we try to build, of course, a ship for a minimum of 25 years of operation in our fleet, and of course make her a little bit such that we can serve more clients with it than only this specific client. But we can really talk with this client to make it specifically well designed for the trade they intend to use it for. So we can do some customize some things there. The cool thing here is, of course, that with all the operational experience we have, we can learn actually to build better gas carriers. So it's a really short line actually from all the technical defects and the statistics that we have from there to blend that into the new building department and the concept development department to make better ships, more reliable ships.
Yeah. On gas is the only segment you don't want to specialize on.
We're a liquefied gas carrier company.
Yeah, and that's important to mention that. And sometimes it's better to have a niche because if, for example, as a fleet manager, if you have different types of vessel, is it making things a nightmare to manage because you have like tanker vessel, gas carrier?
Yeah, I can imagine that the trick for me in this job is basically to understand where we are not performing as desired, to understand the risks that go with that, and to prioritize these risks continuously and make sure that everybody in the teams know, okay, this is important, I have to do this now, okay, and this is second, third, and try to reiterate that every day. I think if you have different ships in different markets, it would require for me at least a learning time to understand how to prioritize this. So how does that mechanism work in this market?
Okay, good. Yeah. I want to ask another question. How to become a fleet manager?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So when people ask me this question, I think one of the most important things is to drink coffee and listen, or tea or water like we do now, Paul, and listen. Try to understand the big picture. So technical people can really dive into the engine and talk about this cylinder exhaust gas temperatures. But how does that problem translate into the big picture? Will the ship be off hire? Can we still not use it? Or will it require maybe some different competences from the crew to fix the problem? Maybe this is not the problem, but maybe the problem is somewhere else. Maybe the problem is in the fuel and not in the engine itself. So as a fleet manager, you continuously need to be curious actually to, hey, can it be something else? Are we forgetting something? What did we not thought of? But that's the mindset you need to have. And you need and if you are so what I'm not good at is to be patient. So sometimes I have to be a little bit more patient and let people develop the same kind of thinking that I want them to do. So sometimes I'm too early already in setting a certain direction. But on the other hand, the people on the third floor, they point out to me exactly when they find me annoying and push me back. So that's good. So they should do that. And how to really become a fleet manager is to connect, talk to people, and if you really like that role of really managing the teams and develop people and to get the best out of the teams, if you like that soft skill, then you are able to become a fleet manager. So of course there's a lot of technology involved. So it helps if you understand technology and physics. But if you and if you also like to work on the personal connection with people and to work with people, then everybody can become fleet manager in the end.
Okay. Great.
But at Anthony Wieder, I think people get good salary. And also we really are open about work-life balance. So one of the things that I find really important that this is shipping. This is 24/7 business, and it's so easy to take advantage of people and keep on working until people are burned up, especially in operational roles like an operator or a vessel manager. So we should take care of our people. So taking care of people makes it's more than just only good coffee. It's really about your work-life balance. So one of the questions I ask to my team members is your partner still happy that you're working with Anthony Vida? And if the answer is no, then of course we really are worrying. And so salary is just a small part of the puzzle. It's about the complete picture.
But do you have a chartering team as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So chartering is sitting on the first floor together with operations. Okay. Charter is mainly in charge for the ships that do not have a fixed time charter on the ships, and they try to, of course, optimize the planning continuously with our COA contracts and our spot market opportunities.
Okay, yeah. So they're more taking care of the routing, where the vessel will be according to the business, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Where there's a need, of course, for a ship. Yeah, and
so the business aspect, operations, business.
Yeah.
In the superintendent fleet management, it's more about no matter where is the vessel, you just need to make it efficient for the...
Make sure it's good for all images and make sure it works.
Okay. But you don't say, the vessel needs to be here because...
Sometimes we do that because we would need to go to a shipyard. So every 2.5 years, of course, we have a survey, just like any other ship owner. And we also prepare those surveys ahead. We sign a contract with the shipyard. Yeah, then we need to tell chartering. We have chosen this shipyard because normally we're trading nearby. So can you please make sure the ship is there at the 1st of July because we want to do dry docking.
Okay, great. In my side, I ask you all the questions, but if you want to add something,
So the key thing here is that we need to work together. What now a really important changes in the world is about diversity, equality, inclusivity. And that is something that I'm also proud of that we are really supporting in here. So we are really having an open dialogue with people. So if you look in the team of technical operations, together in that team we have, I think, 4 or 5 different nationalities. So Italian, Polish, Latvia, so Russian, Dutch, and myself. And the way that we work together, it creates a very nice sense of humor. Actually, we share many. We share the same passion for ships, and that really bonds us. But also the way that we try to encourage to make sure that more women enter our business. So, for example, we have 1% of our seafarers is women. I think 2% is the world average for seafarers to be women, and 98% of these women are working in the cruise industry. Yeah, so we're really open to listen to see how we should organize ourselves or how we should change the ships to make sure more women will start sailing with us. We are working with many different nationalities. So I have here, for example, our beautiful sustainability growth report, where we have a complete chapter on the social roadmap that's also regarding this diet topic, and safe workplace. So what we are trying also to do is we have these junior officers conferences. So we got all the junior officers here into the Netherlands for 4 days together. I was there too, and then you see all these young enthusiastic colleagues we have all around the world who share the same passion, working on ships, and who try to make a living for themselves and their families, and share those family values actually in this company, from all different kind of cultures, and that's also a very beautiful aspect of the shipping industry actually, and of Anthony Wieder. So I really want to emphasize that you can build very cool ships, but it's all about the people.
That's a good one for the end.
All about the people.
Yeah, about the people.
Yeah.
Thank you for this interview.
Thank you, Paul, for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it.
Same.
Yeah.
And I wish you, of course, all the best.
I hope a lot of people will be enthusiastic to work for Anthony Wieder and to become fleet manager.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I do that. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching this episode. We are looking forward to bring you more insights from maritime professionals, experts, and students. Do not hesitate to follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Your support means a lot to us and helps us to bring you more content.